In this video, I'm going to talk about the game mechanics for the My Way to Escape game. So without further ado, let's jump in. Here's the game interface, and this is not the final look of it, but this is kind of the skeleton of what it's going to look like. So what it's going to be is a map of Slovenia, and as the player moves through the board, there's going to be a little icon in these dots that represents where they're at, and maybe we'll have some animation, some graphical where it kind of pulses, so it's really easy for them to identify where they're at. But essentially, they'll start here, they'll move all the way around the map, and they'll come out here. And at the end of each of the 4 regions, there'll be a lock or some icon, some gate that when they get to, a special thing's going to pop up. We'll talk about that in a minute. And also that what you need to know is when they get to healthy waters, all these blue dots are going to pop up. They're not going to be visible prior to that. And as they move through the game board, they're going to get points. We'll talk about that in a second, but basically there's 4 categories. There's mice, or basically business. There's outdoors, there's wellness, there's food and wine, also known as gastronomy, and there'll be a few bonus questions. Now, we're not sure exactly how many points are going to happen in each thing as of the time of me making this video. So all this graphically is going to change, but the programming and structure of it shouldn't. So here's how the game is going to work. At the bottom, there's going to be a countdown timer, and when that timer hits 0, the game or the points stop. The player can still keep playing, but they no longer get points. It'll show up in the point box. Like I mentioned, they're going to see an icon of where they are on the map. So this map needs to be sliced in such a way that we can overlay graphics, or it'll be 100% graphics based. And it also should be, we suspect most people are going to do this on a desktop. So we want it to be responsive, but we don't need to necessarily have a mobile version, because I'm not sure how we could compress all this information on a little small screen. Each stop is going to have an element pop up on the map. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And in that pop-up, they'll be able to answer some questions. We'll also have, like I mentioned, when they get to the end of one of the 4 regions, there'll be a bonus thing, like a bonus question area or itinerary that's going to pop up. I'll talk about that. And then over here is, as they go through and they answer questions, they're going to get points unlocked. So all these little dots will be grayed out, and then as they get the question right, it'll be replaced with an icon or a check mark or whatever we can visually fit on this already cramped board. Also, when they get all of these 4, however many there are in each of these 4 categories, when they get all of those, then a little badge is going to appear, and that doesn't really affect anything. It'll just be a graphical thing that gets added. And each section's points are going to get multiplied together, and we'll also have the bonus points. So all of those get multiplied to create the total points. I'd like to have, as they play, basically as they get to each new stop, this gets recalculated so they can kind of in real time see their points coming up. And when they get to the very end of the game, they're going to be able to download a PDF, which I'll talk about right now. So they're going to get a PDF document, and the PDF will have the certificates of completion filled in. So let me just go back for a sec. So when they get each of these badges, basically if a badge gets unlocked, let me go back, then they're going to get a certificate, which is just a page that'll have their name and their agency name, and it'll be inserted into this document. So at the end of the day, they're going to download one PDF, which will have a number of pages in there, and that's really the number of pages in the final PDF that they get is based off the gameplay that they did. So if they only answered a couple questions right and they didn't really fill out the itinerary, which we'll talk about in a second, then they're going to have a much smaller PDF document. Okay, another thing is all game text will be taken from this brochure. All right, so if you're playing, let's say you're on Marber, and when you get there, this window will pop up. It'll look a little nicer than this. It's kind of ghetto. It'll be art directed. But this will pop up, and they'll be able to either watch a video or read text or a gallery. So basically, there'll be a media widget embedded in this, and then there'll be short text like, please answer the question. And then we'll have a variety of different question types. We'll have text-based where they just click on a button. We'll have image-based, so there might be 4 images, like what is which one's cream slice, and they click on what the cream slice is. There might be a fill in the blanks, so it would be like a sentence, and there'd be like a drop down with various options, and they pick the right option. So we'll probably have 4 different question types that from a programming perspective, we can just say, okay, this one's going to be type A, this one's type B, this one's type C, right, and so forth. So from a programming perspective, we only need to have 4 types of question engines that are going to happen. All right, so I already mentioned that. They see the icon, the thing comes out. Pretty much what I answered. Now, if they answer correctly, they're going to go to the next page, which I'll show you. If they answer incorrectly, it'll say like a little pop-up will show up over this pop-up, or we'll have, I don't know, a little box shows up and says, you got that wrong, try again, and they can try again. Okay, so if they get something right, it's going to say, hey, correct, here's a bonus thing for you, and then we might have a bonus piece of content, and at that point, whatever they got correct, so if they're a Maribor, there'd be a Maribor badge, and either they would drag and drop it over to the appropriate area, or it would probably just animate over, so we just have a little graphic of it going to the right spot, just so they know that they got that point tallied for them. All right, so that's everything I mentioned. Okay, so when they get to the unlock thing, what this is going to do, it's a completely different functionality. Excuse the board, I got a little crazy right there. It's going to be all this extra stuff added. Ignore that. But this is going to unlock another window, and this is what we're going to call the escape plan creation window. And all this is, it's going to be a list of all the things they can do inside that one region. So if this is the Alps, it'd be like all the different foods they can eat, all the different other places they can go, the parks, the hiking trails, all that. So they're going to be able to scroll up and down and see each entry, and all this is going to be is a video or a gallery of images. So we will just basically have from a programming perspective, there'd be media, there'd be the title of the thing, so think of that as a headline, and there'd be a description. And then because it's going to be really small, if you click on it, it'll pop up in another window, just this info, so you can read it. Obviously on a small screen, this would be impossible to read. And then over here, there's going to be a checkbox. So if they want to add this to their escape plan, they're going to click add. Now what that's going to do is, remember, at the end of the game, they're going to get a downloadable PDF that's customized to them. And part of the customization is everything they click on is going to get added to their PDF. So what I mean by that is, if the best way to describe it is, each of these things that they click on would have its own PDF page, or more specifically, it's just a widget. So we can have more than one of these on a page. We'd probably have like 5 per page. And it's basically whatever you see here, the image and the text and the title, that's just going to get added to the PDF so they can download it. So very, very simple on that. And we need the interface so that we can go in and add all these different descriptions, titles, and media, and knowing that it's going to get added to this pop-up within the game, and also it'll get added to the PDF page. So that's how that escape plan creation tool is going to work, and that's independent of the game itself. So this game, my escape plan here, that doesn't affect the points or anything like that. It's just kind of like a second little thing. And also, when they're in this pop-up window, the countdown timer is just going to pause, so they don't feel the pressure, I only got a minute to explore. They can really take their time and explore. But if they click the X, or maybe we'll have a button saying close, they click that, then they're back into the game, and the timer is going to start back up. Is everything I just talked about. All right, so when they get to the end of the game, if they get a perfect score, in other words, everything here is perfect, or some variable of that, maybe we'll say if they got 90% or 80% correct, we won't really know until we do some test runs of playing the game and see how people react to it. But long story short, if they get it if they get a higher score, then they're going to see this window that's like, hey, awesome, and it'll have a video, and it'll just be like, hey, awesome, you get a certificate for, you unlock some badges for the 4 categories, so we're going to give you some certificates, so click next so we can start generating your escape plan. And then they click next and they go over. So that's the perfect score. If they get the unperfect score, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just going to have another button that says play again. So if they hit play again, they're going to go back and start over, where they can go and presumably get a higher score. If they hit no thanks, they're just going to go to the very last sequence inside the game portal. So that's an overview of the actual game portal, what it's going to kind of look and feel like. And now let me show you, let me hit escape and show you where did it go? I got too many windows here. Here we go. This is what we're going to just call the blueprint so you guys can see how to program this. Okay, the very first thing is we have the admin area. And all this is going to be is something the player or the end user is not going to see. That's just for us. So we can upload contacts. So we can either do a bulk upload where we click the button and it uploads a CSV file of all the different agents, the agent's agency name, the phone number, the address, and the country they're in, so that we can mail them or email them invites. So again, you can manually enter a contact, or you can bulk upload a CSV file of contacts. And then this little add to pre-launch campaign that will integrate with the travel board's CRM, so that if we want to create a second campaign out of that, like before this thing launches, that'll just add those contacts to that. So it's really easy for them. Also, there'll be another page here where they can scroll through all the people in this database, and when they click on one, it's going to generate a unique invite URL. So in other words, if I click on that URL, it's going to send me to the registration page, which is going to be the start of this whole experience. So down here, this is what the player or the user would see, whereas everything in this orange admin area, that's just what we see. And so therefore that can be kind of ugly. That doesn't have to be all slick and pretty. Another thing here is for each, I forgot to add it to the board, but for each contact, there should be another way or a little interface to customize the registration page sidebar, so they can add custom text. So let's say they're going to invite like a agency A, so they can go in and add custom text. So as agency A comes to the registration page, it'd say, "Hi agency A, we're really excited you're here." Maybe they can, and we should have the feature so we can embed HTML, so they can embed like a YouTube video, like, so it'd be like a personalized, "Hey, welcome" kind of video. But basically that's the admin area. Very, very simple. And then we have the intro area. So there's kind of three sequences to the game. There's the intro, where they're basically just registering so we can capture their data, and then they're going to watch a video, and then they're going to enter the game area, which is what I just described earlier, and then they're going to enter the wrap up, where they simply watch a video. So I'll talk about that now in greater detail. The very first thing is the registration page. If they did not get a special invite URL, then they're going to come and have to manually enter their data, which will be first name, last name, agency name, and email address, and they click submit, and then they immediately go to the intro video. If they did get a unique invite URL, then they're going to come to this page regardless, but it'll be pre-populated. So we need to have short codes in that URL, so it gets populated here. And obviously, if they got the unique invite URL, then, and there's a custom sidebar with content added, then they'd see that custom sidebar here. So the minute they hit submit, they're going to go to the intro page, which is going to have a video. It should be like 3.5 minutes. We can host that on Amazon or Vimeo, wherever it makes sense for that, so we don't have any loading errors. At the end of the video, a little pop-up is going to say ready to escape, and this is going to correlate what they see in the video, so it doesn't really do much. and if they click yes, they're going to go down to the game area. If they click no, they just simply go to another page that says, "Hey, if you don't have time to do this right now, just bookmark it," and then they click bookmark, and that should integrate with the top browsers and just set a bookmark where we have control over what the name of it is. So My Way to Escape would be the name. So that's that. Then they're in the game area, and this is exactly what we talked about, so I'm not going to get into the particulars, but we'll have the game board, the pop-ups, the escape plan pop-up, and then the correct, the high answer, high score, or the not high score pop-up windows at the end. And then finally we have the wrap-up, and it's going to be very similar to this. It's basically the same thing. So it's a video. The only exception is there's going to be a download button. So as the PDF download is being generated, we might see like a progress bar, and as soon as it's ready for download, the button would go live. And then another thing here, and so they click download and their PDF would just instantly download for them. Another thing is there'll be a little referral button. So it says you want to invite others to this experience. If they click yes, it just says, okay, what's their name, what's their email address, submit, and then 3 emails would go out to that person saying, hey, so-and-so referred you, and click here. So that's the only functionality that emails really need to have. We would also have a leaderboard. So everybody who has finished the game, it would be their name, their agency name, and then their score. And that's going to allow us to send people to the leaderboard through an email wrap up and just say, hey, check out and see how well the other agencies have done compared to you. So that's the game. I think it's pretty simple programming. The hardest thing is just going to get that game board graphically to work. If we slice it or we do a SVG or something like that. Next thing is the PDF. So the next and last thing is the PDF that they're going to download. What it's going to be is the cover is going to be always the same, but there'll be a blank spot where the software will add their username and their agency name. So it seems like it's personalized. And then within it, there's going to be the certificate. So remember in the game, if they unlocked all 4 of those badges, or I guess any of the badges that get unlocked in the game, then they're going to get a special certificate. That's basically just going to be another PDF page with a blank spot where the software will add their username and agency name, obviously in the same font, color, and style. So it looks like it's not just slapped on. So that'll be that. And then we'll have the inner pages. So in the escape plan, when that one pop-up window showed up and they're able to click add to their escape plan on all those different various things they can do, that exact data is going to get added on however many pages. So it'll be just like we saw before, it'll be the media. So like one image, we'll have to pick one core image, and it will have the headline and text about that. And then also a link, a learn more link. And so we'll see how many we can fit on a page where it starts looking, stops looking good. I think probably 3 to 5 would be it. So these inner pages are going to be as many or as little as based off what the player clicked on. And then finally, there's the wrap-up page, which is just going to be a standard PDF page, and there might be a couple links on it, like just to the agency's main website. So it's really, really simple. So in the past, when I've programmed this stuff, we have all these pages and these elements, and then once the data comes through from the game, it tells the other software, the PDF maker, just to assemble these pages, put these entries on the pages, and then zip it up as a final PDF download, and then link it over with the button. So that's how that's going to work. And that is the tech specs for programming. So if you have any questions before you can make a final bid, please let us know. Otherwise, that's what we're doing.